Hi, welcome to another episode of How Did You Make It? ఈ రోజు మన guest Radhika Choudary ma'am, who is a co-founder of a company called Freyr Energy Services.
Last year we did a turnover of close to 65 crores. This year we are on target of doing more than 100 plus. I wonder why people hesitate to try entrepreneurship, right? If you are capable, you are qualified, a job is anyway easy to get. That was my first contract I got into the company. It was a 10 plus crore project. And that company went bankrupt. We are one of the top 15 companies in the country, and it's not a small thing because there are so many players in this market, right? With solar, for every lakh you invest, you get between 25 to 35,000 rupees saving minimum.
Were your in-laws and your family an integral part of your success?
But then I can tell when somebody is passionate or not when they're doing a job.
Yeah.
Like how you like doing this.
సోలార్ ఎనర్జీని కన్వర్ట్ చేసుకొని ఎలక్ట్రిసిటీగా వాడుకోవడం అన్న కాన్సెప్ట్ మనం చాలా సంవత్సరాల నుంచి వింటున్నాం. చాలా బిల్డింగ్స్ పైన సోలార్ ప్యానెల్స్ చూస్తుంటాం. అవి అసలు ఎంత కాస్ట్ అవుతాయి? ఎక్స్పెన్సివా లేదంటే ఎకనామికలా? అండ్ ఇలాంటి ఒక కంపెనీని బిల్డ్ చేయడానికి వాళ్ళు ఫేస్ చేసే స్ట్రగుల్స్ ఏంటి, ఆబ్స్టికల్స్ ఏంటి? అండ్ యాజ్ అ ఉమెన్, యాజ్ అ పేరెంట్, హౌ డిడ్ షీ మేనేజ్ పుల్లింగ్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ విత్ ద సపోర్ట్ ఆఫ్ హర్ ఫ్యామిలీ, హర్ కో-ఫౌండర్ అన్నదే ఈరోజు ఎపిసోడ్. ఐ థింక్ యూ ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు లెర్న్ అ లాట్ ఆఫ్ న్యూ థింగ్స్ ఫ్రమ్ టుడేస్ ఎపిసోడ్. స్టే ట్యూన్డ్. Hi Radhika ma'am, welcome to How Did You Make It?
Thanks. Hi Anusha, how are you doing?
I am good, how are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for having us over to your place. To start off with, can we please understand what Freyr Energy Services does?
Yeah, so Freyr Energy is today in the 10th year of operation. So Nenu Inka Saurabh Marda, we started in 2014. And we have more than 150 employees today, and projects వచ్చి almost 26 states లో ఉన్నాయి మాకు. Primary focus again is homes and businesses, small businesses. Initial years of our company మేము rural electrification అంటారు, so village electrification చేసాము. Almost 100 plus villages in the rural parts of Andhra Pradesh, West Godavari, East Godavari, and even Araku Valley and other places. సో అక్కడ ట్రైబల్ హ్యామ్లెట్స్కి మేము సోలార్ సిస్టమ్స్ పెట్టేవాళ్ళము, ఎందుకంటే అక్కడ పవర్ లైన్స్ ఇవ్వాలంటే ఇబ్బంది అయ్యేది. సో వాళ్ళందరికీ మేము ఎనర్జీ సప్లై చేసాము. ఓవర్ ద ఇయర్స్ వీ డిడ్ అ లాట్ ఆఫ్ గవర్నమెంట్ ప్రాజెక్ట్స్, స్టార్టింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ నార్త్ ఈస్ట్ టు రాజస్థాన్, అప్ ఇన్ ఢిల్లీ, సౌత్. సో ద హోల్ విజన్ ఫర్ ఫ్రేయర్ వాజ్ దట్ if I'm in Hyderabad, I shouldn't become a Hyderabad-based company to do business only in AP Telangana, right? The vision was I should be a national level player. And the biggest challenge here is how do you get access to your customer who's not in the vicinity that you're operating, right? So that was the biggest objective we had taken, and we started our journey into building this company.
Right, that's wonderful. So to start with, like I always say, a story starts with like where it started. So when was Freyr founded and what's the journey been so far?
It has been a roller coaster because it is now 10th year of operation, and I think touchwood, thanks to my co-founder has been a rock solid supporter, and the team has been excellent that we put together. But 2014 నుంచి మనం ఆలోచిస్తే స్టేట్ బైఫర్కేట్ అయింది. అప్పుడు ఆ కాలంలో టాక్సేషన్ వేరే ఉండేది, సిఎస్టీ అండ్ వ్యాట్. అప్పుడు ఏమైపోయేది, లోకల్ ఆఫీసెస్ ఉంటేనే మనకు ట్యాక్స్ బెనిఫిట్. సో వీ హ్యాడ్ ఆఫీసెస్ ఇన్ సో మెనీ స్టేట్స్. వెర్ ఎవర్ వీ వర్ డూయింగ్ టెండర్స్, ఐ నీడెడ్ టు పుట్ అప్ అన్ ఆఫీస్ బికాస్ ఐ హ్యాడ్ టు బిల్ లోకలీ, రైట్, ఫర్ ద టెండర్స్.
Correct.
And GST got implemented. So that was a big change for a company to go through, right? We were not like a small partnership or proprietorship. It's a private limited company.
Correct.
So that was a big change we went through. Then what happened, our largest project was in Vizag with the rural electrification. That was my first contract I got into the company. It was a 10 plus crore project, and that company went bankrupt, right? So then the payment started to become questionable. So working around that aspect, right? You lost your, all your eggs were in one basket.
Correct.
And nobody should make that mistake. But then, it's a journey, you learn, you figure it out. And then We went through HUD because that's exactly where our projects were. It was the biggest, weather-related thing where we couldn't access the sites.
Yeah.
Then we went through COVID. So last 10 years has been crazy, but we still created a good quality brand for our company. We are one of the top 15 companies in the country, and it's not a small thing because there are so many players in this market, right?
Correct.
So I think the journey has been like a very rewarding end of the day, because the product and the service we are giving is so valuable to the end consumer.
Correct.
That gives a lot of joy to us. Like, we gave power to villages where they never experienced electricity, so they were able to have prolonged days because the sun sets and it's very dark by 4-5 p.m. in these forest areas. So their life extended to 7 p.m., 8 p.m. because we gave street lights, and kids could obviously study, and there was also safety aspect related to snake bites and other things. So I think it's very rewarding journey. So
That's very beautifully put, actually. Helping somebody have a longer day is like a very beautiful way to say
something we take it for granted every day,
Absolutely.
sitting in the urban cities.
Absolutely. So, because a lot of us, including me, we know very, very less about solar energy or renewable energy industry and what they do. We do here and there about people like you having companies, ensuring that, energy is supplied to remote areas. But చాలా తక్కువ తెలుసు మాకు సోలార్ ఎనర్జీ అంటే ఏంటి, రెన్యూబుల్ ఎనర్జీ అంటే ఎన్విరాన్మెంటల్ సైన్స్ లో నేర్చుకున్నాం స్కూల్లో.
అంతవరకు.
దట్స్ ఆల్.
Converted into electricity.
Correct. అంతే. That's all that we know about it. So if you can throw some light on what does Freyr do and what are your products?
Freyr Energy ప్రైమరీగా సోలార్ అందించేది హౌసెస్ ప్రైమరీలీ మళ్ళీ అపార్ట్మెంట్ ఉండొచ్చు అండ్ ఇండిపెండెంట్ హౌసెస్ ఉండొచ్చు. ఎందుకంటే మనకు కొంచెం స్థలం కావాలి వేర్ దెర్ ఇస్ నో షాడో. సో ఇట్ కెన్ బి లైక్ అపార్ట్మెంట్ కమ్యూనిటీలో మనకు మెయింటెనెన్స్ కడతాం కదా, సో దట్ బిల్ కెన్ ఆల్సో బి రిడ్యూస్డ్. సో వాట్ ఎవర్ యూ పే విత్ అ వన్ టైమ్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్. సో యువర్ లిఫ్ట్ లోడ్స్, కామన్ ఏరియా లైటింగ్, parking lighting, motors for running your water supply. So all these loads are your common electricity. So I'm just explaining fundamentally. So that bill can be reduced, right?
Okay.
Similarly, for a homeowner, typically what happens is, let's say they are paying a electricity bill average annually, monthly ankundam 2,000 to 3,000 rupees electricity bill, which is fairly normal nowadays, right?
Correct.
And that's typically a 2 to 3 bedroom home ankochu manam aa bill value.
Correct.
And that's a small family home. That is the way we are looking at it. For that house, if they invest in solar, it will be like a between 1.5 to 2.5 lakh rupee investment maximum, depending on the space available and depending on their electricity bill. We can offer them the product. Our product వచ్చి వాళ్ళకు సుమారుగా 50 to 60,000 annual savings తీసుకొస్తారు. So for 2 lakhs, you are saving between 50 to 60,000 rupees annually. So I think that is almost like a 25 to 35% return on investment, right? Today, let's say you put your 1 lakh in the bank, మనకి ఎంత వస్తుంది? 5%, అంతేనా? 5%. So that is 5,000 rupees. So this is how I explain very simply to my customers, saying that if you put your money in the bank, మీకు వచ్చే ఇంట్రెస్ట్ 5,000, 6,000 అనుకున్నా, అంతకంటే లేదు. పోనీ మీరు అది బయట మెత్తికిచ్చుకొని అలా ఇచ్చుకున్నా, you will get only 10 to 12,000, 15,000. And with the risk that with your capital will come back or not, God only knows.
Correct.
And gold అనుకోండి, ల్యాండ్ అనుకోండి, ఎక్కడ ఈ రిటర్న్స్ రావు. With solar, for every lakh you invest, you get between 25 to 35,000 rupees saving minimum, and it's an assured return because there are no moving parts. The panels are fixed on top. The sun will rise, sun will set. Yes, if there are clouds, generation అనేది మనకు కొంచెం తగ్గుతుంది. But we are in India, we are blessed with sunlight today, right?
Correct.
And the other thing is, again, like I said, for a homeowner, 1.5 to 2.5 lakhs, it's like having 2 mobile phones of Apple, honestly. And what benefit do you get from those phones, right?
Yeah.
Here you're saving and you're saving the environment. The other way to look at solar is also, let's say a homeowner has a car. The amount of carbon footprint that car is creating in that entire year can easily be offset by a 3 kilowatt solar system. So that's another way to look at it. So you use your car full blown, you use your air conditioning, no problem, but you're powering with solar, right? So it's almost like you're carbon neutral, so you haven't harmed the environment.
Very interesting. So I think that's a very economical approach towards, installing a solar panel in your house. But usually for most of the people, what we think is that maybe huge investment how people are thinking about electric vehicles right now, right? Previously 10 years back, if somebody was talking about an electric vehicle, people didn't want to buy.
Right.
Now they're slowly buying, but still there's like at least 95 to 98% of the people who think అరే నార్మల్ పెట్రోల్ కార్ అయితే మనకి 15-16 lakhs లో వచ్చేది, ఎలక్ట్రిక్ వెహికల్ అయితే 20-22 lakhs పెట్టాలని చెప్పి ఇనీషియల్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్ గురించి ఆలోచించి దే టేక్ అ స్టెప్ బ్యాక్.
కరెక్ట్.
ఫ్యూచరిస్టిక్ గా మనం చాలా తక్కువ మంది ఆలోచిస్తాం. సో ఫర్ పీపుల్ హూ ఆర్ థింకింగ్ దట్ దిస్ ఇస్ అ హ్యూజ్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్, వాట్ డూ యూ హ్యావ్ టు సే, హౌ యూ మేకింగ్ ఇట్ ఈజీ ఫర్ దెమ్?
Correct. That's a very good question actually, because that is the fundamental bias people have.
Yes.
Idi chala costly ela anedi. So biggest thing that Freyr does is, there are two aspects, right? One is creating the awareness that it's the right solution. Two, we are providing loans for them, so we help them get a loan against the product, right? So let's say you're paying a bill of 2,000 to 3,000, 4,000. I'm giving you an EMI equal to that or less. So psychologically, you are anyway used to a 2,000 to 3,000 cash outflow. But in 3 to 5 years, that asset is yours, right? EMI free అయిపోయినాక. So that is another way to look at it. And that EMI typically for a home owner కంటే ఎక్కువ small scale businesses కి చాలా valuable. ఎందుకంటే for them it's a bigger dilemma. If I have money, should I invest in my business or should I put it on solar అన్న thought ఉంటుంది. But since COVID, what happened is and electricity bill is one of the largest part of the operating expenditure for any business.
Correct.
Especially factories, right?
Correct.
If they had done a one-time investment, that 1/3 of their expenses on a monthly basis would have been gone. Right? So people are now planning for the future and ensuring that they are getting into taking a loan against the product.
Right.
And taking it, the asset is freed up in 3 to 5 years. There are some tax benefits for it also.
That's wonderful.
So that is how we're making it attractive. And more importantly, we have disrupted the market today by use of our technology. So we have something, so we want to digitize the customer journey. So there's just the way you use Big Basket. So tomorrow you're in Vizag and you order it for your parents, or you go to Bangalore or you order it here. Your experience is not compromised. You know what is on the menu, you know what to order, and you know when it's going to be delivered. And if there is an issue, what you want to do after the delivery also, you pretty much know.
Correct.
That is your customer experience. We have built a similar tool called SunPro. SunPro is a tool that you can download from your iOS, Android phone. Anybody, just download it and start your solar journey. So you can you put in just your basics. I'm not making it complicated. So our logo is making solar simple, right?
Okay.
It is about simplifying your journey as a customer, simplifying processes internally also for me. So I have created the app where it's digitizing the customer journey. So basically you download it, you look at what's your bill, and it tells you what system size. It also gives you EMI options, and it also tells how many people in your area have taken it.
Oh, wow.
So it builds some sort of a trust and confidence. I can't keep opening offices and experience centers, right?
Right.
So that is the traditional way most of the businesses operate, is dealership model.
Right.
We are doing away with it with technology adoption.
That's wonderful. So actually, before we understand Freyr as a company, one more follow-up question I have is that if, let's say, tomorrow I want to, invest in solar, and I don't know what's the first step to take, because let's say that's not even a thought that people have.
Yes.
So for you, as much as you want to build your sales and sell your products, building awareness is equally important for you. So in general, what are the awareness programs that you're taking up, and what platforms are you using to create this kind of awareness?
So honestly, the biggest pivot in consumer mindset happened around COVID, where sadly we couldn't get a lot of orders because customers were not ready to meet.
Correct.
And it was a very physical sale. Like we needed to meet, we needed to see the terrace space and all that, right? But it also helped us reinvent ourselves and say, what can we do to ensure we don't constantly go to a customer and meet. Instead, we help answer all the questions from before itself. So to your point, of course, we are we have Facebook advertisements, Instagram advertisements. We had Dia Mirza do us, like as a brand ambassador. She did a bit of advertisement for us. I myself do a lot of interviews. I talk a lot on platforms like, conferences. Again, conferences means not necessarily solar conferences, because that's not where my customer comes, right?
Correct.
My customer could come where it is like communities, apartment communities, gated communities. It could be a cement factory, all the people are coming, or doctors are coming, because in tier 2 towns of India, there are a lot of hospitals, small clinics, and the doctors typically own that 30-40 bed hospital and they live there, right?
Yeah.
So these are my primary target customers, who are like, single decision maker, quick turnaround time to make a decision and move forward for the system, right? So we ensure we run a lot of BTL activities, on the ground activities, and build awareness. But I felt currently our app download is upwards of 10,000 downloads per month, right? So that gives a lot of confidence to us. And we get a lot of inquiries through Facebook. So that is again reiterating, I don't need to do newspaper ads and all. There are a lot of people who are inquiring about solar through Facebook,
Correct.
through Instagram, sometimes through LinkedIn, through our website.
Yeah.
So we have some influencers also, like let's say tomorrow people see this, we can see a lot of traffic going into our website.
Correct.
And they fill the form over there.
Yeah.
So these are different mediums where we kind of get. And of course, very important, my existing customers, we use them as our brand ambassadors. What happens for us is, it's not like I'm selling coffee where Starbucks, so I sell coffee to you, you like it, I know you come at least 3 to 4 times a month or a week, right? So I'm only talking about customer acquisition cost. Did I satisfy you the first time I came? Here I sell and I move on, right?
Correct.
My only hope is that customer, he, she, a child,
వాళ్ళకి మంచిగా చెప్పుకుంటే
మన గురించి చెప్పుకుంటే చాలా సంతోషం. అండ్ వాళ్ళకి ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది వాల్యూ? ఎవ్రీ మంత్ 5,000 to 6,000, 7,000 సేవింగ్ ఫర్ అ విల్లా కమ్యూనిటీ, విల్లా హోమ్, అండ్ దే ఆర్ వెరీ హ్యాపీ. దే బోస్ట్ అబౌట్ ఇట్. See, one is economics. The bigger satisfaction is you have done something good for the nature, right? So that I think is a very good solid value proposition. So yeah, these are different ways we go about promoting and building awareness.
Amazing. So now we'll talk about Freyr as a company, the story of Freyr, and then eventually we'll get to who you are as a person and how you are doing all of this by yourself.
Sure.
So with respect to Freyr, can you please help us understand when did you start and how did this idea come to you, and where are we right now?
Sure. Freyr Energy was founded in 2014. So funny story, you should meet my co-founder Saurabh. He says it took him 2 years to convince me to bring me on board.
Is it?
Yeah, to get started.
Okay.
So actually we met on a very special day to me. It was my son's first birthday.
Oh.
And my husband had invited a few of his, he had gone to Columbia Business School, and there are a few friends of his in Hyderabad who are part of the Columbia Business School alumni from New York, right?
Okay.
So they were all moved back to Hyderabad and they're here. And Saurabh happens to be his friend's husband.
Okay.
So as alumni spouses, we ended up meeting at my son's birthday and we interacted. Saurabh is extremely passionate about environment, and he's an environment engineer from Georgia Tech, RV College, Bangalore. He did chemical engineering.
Okay.
Then he did environmental engineering. Later he went and did his MBA from Yale. So he had just moved to India in 2011, right? We met in 2012. So he was looking to explore, he was exploring what can he do in the energy sector,
Okay.
particularly solar. And I was already in that business for a good 3+ years. I was one of the early people. So I don't want to give my age out, but I've been in the sector since 2008 in solar. So before that, I was in wind energy for 2 years.
Okay.
So in terms of experience and in terms of, similar backgrounds, I think that is very critical, right? So we both are from Hyderabad. We both studied abroad and came back. We have similar values and similar understanding of life, right? So I think fundamentally things worked out. Also age-wise, we are in similar age group. So also his sister and I were classmates. We found out later.
Okay.
So there was a fundamental trust that was there, where he could trust and say that, she's somebody I can work with. And we have a very complementary skill set in personalities, right? So yeah, basically 2014 we decided, and the objective again was we wanted to take solar to every home. That was the objective. But I think we were way too early back in 2014 to imagine the adoption will be the way it is today, right? Because US had already moved. Australia, US, Europe only spoke about home solar.
Okay.
Right, back in 2002-3 onwards, you heard stories about like a house getting a solar system. It was picking up in California, Texas, some part of East Coast. It started picking up, and 10 years later, also in India, people still spoke about large scale plants, solar. But there was a point where we felt certain states where the tariff is high, there the economics made beautiful sense. So AP, Telangana, Maharashtra, Delhi NCR belt were primary targets. So we said, how do we, being out of Hyderabad, how do we start approaching customers in different parts, right? So basically that was the objective. And we said we have to disrupt, and we said technology is the best way to disrupt it. So we have SunPro, we launched it, and backward integration. So that has been the journey. Last year we did a turnover of close to 65 crores. This year we are on target of doing more than 100 plus. We have more than 150 employees, close to 200. We are recruiting actively right now as we speak. That is one big challenge, talent.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me about it.
Yes, actually.
So we'll move away from the solar part a little bit, and we'll focus on you as an individual, because whatever companies people build, I feel like most of it, the character of the company comes from the founders. So we want to understand you as a person. You have two beautiful kids. It's like you mentioned, it's been a decade since you started Freyr. How are you managing parenthood and entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship in itself, I think, consumes an individual completely into it. How are you managing both, and do you have any advices? Because a lot of people these days, I think they're stepping into becoming entrepreneurs in their early 30s, late 20s, by when they're married and they're...
Which is pretty much the time I also, right? If you really look at it.
So what do you have? How are you managing this, and what are the tips that you have for...
So actually, even for me, because my husband himself is an entrepreneur, I had never ever thought of joining a startup or being in a startup, because I thought I need to bring stability to the family while he goes out and builds his company out, right? But when Saurabh and I met, and even my husband is the main reason, he told me that initial years will be a lot of hard work. It will always be hard work, no doubt. But he said you will have more flexibility with where you want to head. You make decisions on your own. And my husband, I think, felt more confident in my capabilities than I did at that point in time. And I think that made a big difference, where he said you will flourish in that environment, right? Of course, there is a lot of self-doubt. Everyone has, no matter how much you go through, we all keep questioning ourselves, correct hai, correct hai, right? So you keep doubting yourself. But I think that was a big thing. And like you said, was leadership inherent? I feel that, I have been in sports all my life, and I used to lead a lot of teams since very young age. I was 8-10 years. I was a state swimmer, state basketball player, state table tennis player. I did long tennis. So I played a lot of sports at national level at Andhra Pradesh. I've represented, traveled across the country. So I've done individual sports like tennis and swimming, but I also did team events like, basketball. I played ball. I played all sports. Like I'm a goalkeeper in soccer.
What's your favorite sport?
I would say long tennis. That was my favorite sport. I'm a swimmer also, right? So these are all individual sports. But in that, when you're leading a team, I think I always had that, what will it take to win, right? That is the only objective. And how will you win with the resources you have? Correct. So you need to build strong team, and you have to figure out, it's not about who likes me or who I like, right? It's about what they bring to the table. I think at work, many times the biggest challenge many people fail is also because they take things personally, right? You have to learn to create your boundaries. I think creating boundaries, even on personal life, you will be very happy. Even at work, it is very important.
Yeah.
People lose track of creating boundaries, and you need to create boundaries for a healthy relationship generally, right? Where to draw the line.
Correct.
So yeah, so I think that was also an innate ability where leadership was always there. And again, I'm telling you, right? I was lucky I had my parents and in-laws in Hyderabad. So it was a very conscious choice to move to Hyderabad. If we were in any part of other than India, I wonder how life would have been for us.
Were your in-laws and your family an integral part of your success, and how you are able to manage multiple things at once?
Yeah, means they're there. They're never discouraging for sure, right? I mean, they've always let us make our decisions. Like you said earlier when we were talking, how education is very important. I wonder why people hesitate to try entrepreneurship, right? If you are capable, you are qualified, a job is anyway easy to get. You will anyway get it.
Correct.
And even when I interview people today, even if they are from tier 2 towns, if they have said, you know, मैंने business किया था COVID के वजह से, we had to shut it down, you know. But I will give that person that entire journey that he went through or she went through is beautiful. Like I don't have to explain my pain points.
Correct.
And they have tried that. They couldn't get through for whatever reason, and they want to come back to a job, right? So it's you grow in so many aspects, because I can't say I don't like it. Can somebody else do it? No, it's not possible.
Yeah.
You have to do what you like. You have to do what you don't like. You have to get your fingers and hands dirty and get into the field.
Correct.
Right? So
there's actually an interesting point. So there are a couple of companies that are putting out their job postings, right, on multiple platforms. The one, experience that they were looking for is for failed entrepreneurs.
yeah, because there are so many out there who've tried their luck and whatever. See, what are the reasons for failure, right? Timing, market fit and all that. And people jump into creating something that is super perfect before they launch it. So it's too late to make any modifications. Founder challenges.
Correct.
Right? And fundraise. These are all the challenges. Typically in this, by the time they finish this, and they don't have the grit to stay through a challenge. So of course, and like you said, that's a very important skill set, because as a business owner, I can tell out of my 160 employees who are invested into the company the way I am versus who's not, who's there just as an employee, which is also good. We need all kind of people, honestly. I'm just telling you that the passion, when we say passionate, it is such a loosely used term.
Correct.
Because how will somebody else understand what my passion is for my company and my growth, right?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to instill the passion in them to achieve that in their job is my burden. It's on me. How do I help them be passionate about the job they are doing?
Yeah.
But we keep saying I need somebody passionate, but then I can tell when somebody is passionate or not when they're doing a job.
Yeah.
Like how you like doing this.
Absolutely. Interacting with people like you is my biggest motivation here. What's your biggest challenge with respect to managing people?
Man, again, I am surrounded by extremely brainy and extremely highly educated from Ivy League kind of schools. So I always had a self-doubt in my own capabilities. One. Two, I always said I had to do an MBA, which I never got to do.
Yeah.
And this is a program, this is not an MBA. This is just a 1-year program with a beautiful vision that Stanford, it's called Stanford Seed. Okay, as a seed as in Vittanam.
Correct.
Right? Ade vision to, there is a couple out of Stanford, Bob and Dottie. They have donated, I think, $20 or $50 million towards a program, and they are fully funding it, saying that they want to bring transformation in this world. And they started this program, which is a 1-year program for founders and co-founders, primary business owners, where they are transitioning their company from one stage to another stage, right? So you're transforming your entire journey.
Okay.
So these are the companies. So between $1 million to $10 million revenue. They don't want very large companies. They don't want completely seed stage. So they're creating different programs for them now. After they've launched it. So for me, that 1-year program when I went, one, it helped me validate and I had room full of entrepreneurs. Same boat. Entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey. It becomes very hard to go and talk to your friends and neighbors all the time what challenges you are facing.
That's true.
You know, we went through so much through COVID, right? But then I had that entire community for me, 2017 to 18, right? So I had 3 batches that we all shared ideas about how to conserve cash, how to help each other in different states. Even things like, you know, somebody's family was hospitalized. There was a doctor who runs, rural clinics, health care clinics. He helped an entire family to be taken to that hospital, and literally that guy's family still says, you know, my life is there because of Dr. So-and-so, right? So I'm telling you, the value that you get out of that network is invaluable. So for me, that became a validation board, sounding board, where I could talk and understand, is this approach correct? Then it helped me build my leadership team, because I didn't have a leadership team at that point in time.
Did you find people there, or?
No, I didn't find people. No, they're all business owners.
Okay.
But that program pushes you to have a leadership team. I had a team, but it was not like leaders that I can visualize handing over different departments to them and sitting back. Correct.
Okay.
So for me, when they spoke about what leadership means and who are these critical functions, how do you identify, how do you bring talent into that role, was the biggest challenge. But at least we realized that was needed. So for me, that program made us aware, and I think it took us 2, 3, 4 years to bring the right talent into the program.
Correct.
But for us, we motivate them. Of course, see, we have to find basically passionate guys who like what they're doing. So our ops head today is a ex-army Colonel Girish, right? So he has served the Indian nation, and he's worked with Reliance for a couple of years. But he's just a passionate guy about energy and engineering. So he loves operations. So he's come on board. Like that, you know, one of my neighbors here is our HR head.
Wow.
She was a good friend, and, you know, I said, and she's so invested in the company today. Marketing head Vidya. So these are the people who report to me. And then we brought in our sales head who did Ashok Leland sales for a very long time, right? So we have that kind of quality we had to bring into the team. And again, it is, I think, if we are able to clearly explain how their day-to-day routine looks like and what are the company targets. Okay. So we involve them in every board meeting. These are the leaders that put the slides together and that I'm presenting to the board. It's not like Saurabh and I cook up something and present and say, harass the team, ki bhaiya karke de do. That is not the way, right? The approach is like bottom up. Yeah. It's very important that, you know, again, Saurabh and I have a very balancing act, because we are like the filter between the board and my team. Yeah. They don't have to bear the brunt of direct, some things are going on, right? So it's still on us. But I think the leaders have to own their pieces. They have to be accountable for those pieces. We do a lot of workshops, we do a lot of training. Yeah, so this is how you have to build the culture with the company.
When you talk about people, you look very, and you sound very, very passionate. So with respect to people also, when you're talking about hiring them, managing them, etc., what's that one thing you feel like is the biggest and the major driving factor for people? And is having money as a driving factor something wrong?
No, absolutely not. That's the easiest driver, no? If somebody wants money and they're willing to do, I will give them money. Honestly, people keep thinking money. I said, if money is the challenge for project delays, I'll give you money. Then you'll realize, oh, somebody didn't come. Oh, the material shortage. Oh, it's easy to say money. But honestly, if money is the driver, beautiful, man. It doesn't matter. I think what is it that you're bringing to the table is more, and are you accountable and responsible for it, right? People love to point fingers, love to say that मैंने तो email लिख दिया था, मैं तो call कर दी. अरे भैया, that was not your job. Your job was to get a response to that. Correct. Which you completely disowned, right? Correct. So yeah, so I think for me, what I see with the people joining is, this is one more thing I am tired of telling. But when I graduated in 2004 engineering to now, it's almost 20 years. People have, like, you know, the internet, there is nothing that you don't find on internet. Absolutely, yeah. People show up with random resumes, it's not updated. They don't look up the company. Who are they meeting? They don't ask their email address. They don't write thank you note. They don't have understanding of what product lines I am, what makes us unique. All of this takes 5 seconds. I mean, you've interest. You didn't have a job. You want a job, but you don't want to do basic research. You're willing to go and look at TikTok videos and reels.
Absolutely.
And that too, these guys are so used to third party. Like, I can look at the resume, I can tell that you have not put one word on that resume.
Yes, absolutely. No, I agree with you. It also ticks me off, for the lack of better word, when people walk into an interview without reading up about the company.
They don't
That's
look up at
minimum.
the job description also.
Yeah.
They applied to it, but they will not even look at it. So I think in India, one fundamental thing they can do is read up about the company, find out who are the people you're meeting, write a thank you note, write 2 lines about why you want that job. I think it will make all the difference. Even if I have a bias, I will rub it out of my mind and say fine. Because that's the standard operating procedure in the Western culture.
Absolutely.
The standard.
Do you think, so from this conversation, do you think will is greater than skill any day?
Absolutely. Absolutely. To me, even I myself was biased. I kept thinking I need people from the sector to do my job. Because solar was so new, I can't bring people outside the sector to teach them solar. Now I'm like namaste to people from solar sector. I have built an entire training program. I will bring people with ability and I will give them the skills they need to go deliver for the job.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think knowledge is overrated. It's matter of time you will learn.
Agreed.
Correct. So
Agreed.
it is, for me, fundamentally, it is the will.
Yeah, agreed.
Any day.
So with respect to funding that you were talking about, because we are anyway talking about you being a part of these board meetings, getting funding, what was your journey of funding like? Because I know for a renewable energy company like Freyr, it cannot always be bootstrapped.
Yeah.
It's not, for some industries, it cannot be bootstrapped. It just cannot be bootstrapped. So what was your funding journey like? Where did you start? And I know there are around 3 to 4 rounds of funding that you've received. How was your experience like?
So we've raised a couple of rounds of funding. Again, funding is not easy to raise, especially for a sector like ours and the category we are operating in. Our differentiation again lies in the fact that we've used technology to accelerate adoption of solar. So that was a very interesting value proposition for our investors, whoever are on our board today. So one of the first investors we had was Capital for Development. It is a Netherlands-based impact investment company.
Okay.
So they had come on board, and I think generally European funds have a lot of interest in developing worlds, Africa and India, where they're looking at impact investment. So this is a completely different segment of investing. So what happens for us is, of course, there's private equity, there is venture fund. We are too small for private equity in terms of the size of round we are raising.
Okay.
At that time. And for venture capital, it becomes like, it has to be completely disrupting, where the numbers have to be like all kind of numbers like you see today with the value. It's a valuation game, right?
Correct.
Primarily. So for us, we were stuck between, should we go to a VC or a private equity player? Impact investors worked out like the sweet spot for us, where again, we have excellent investors. We have Schneider Electric, Total Energies. These are very large, and they understand energy as their fundamental core is energy. Both Schneider Electric, Total, and Total has only 2 portfolio companies in India, Freyr and Adani for that matter. Okay. So it's a huge pride for us that we were able to bring such companies and to be on board. So again, the journey is more like, many times with entrepreneurs, what happens is they don't start the company with clear accounting and practices, employment contracts, very basic things. They miss it. Like, you need to have your employment contracts, your own salary contracts, your calculations about how much equity is needed, where is the fund going to be utilized, what is your roadmap, what kind of internal things that can go wrong and create problem for the company? What are the external factors? Will policy, landscape, any of those affect? Or, is it a seasonal business, or is all the dynamics, right? These are fundamentals. So entrepreneurs need to understand that is the basic. Like, if for fundraising, the first step is to create your information memorandum. IM, that's what it's called. I mean, if you can get your IM correct, I think you have answered 100% of your questions.
Wonderful.
Right?
Okay.
So why, what, how, pretty much all aspects are covered in it. So if you can get through your information memorandum that goes as a pitch deck to your investors,
Okay.
As an entrepreneur, you are confident what you're building. Correct. So I think the journey has been great. I mean, these investors are excellent when it comes to what they bring to table, because they're constantly looking at, not pressurizing me for numbers, but they're looking at how can we enable you to solve this problem, or how do you want to enter this segment, or would you be able to make the process better by connecting with somebody in another portfolio company. So they're always there for us to help us, right? It's only I have to communicate what are my challenges, and they're happy to come up with 5 ways to help me. So that is the biggest blessing. And we've raised more than $3.5 million last round. And again, raising money, you keep reading in the paper, but it's all milestone driven, right? For us, we have received whatever funding we've announced, we've always received it.
Right.
And if we are again, we are raising another round as we speak. Again, this is like companies, our investors have done follow-ons. Follow-on means in the next round also they have participated. That again shows the track record and the trust that they have in the company, right? So,
Is your preparation different from the first round to second round, second to third, or is it the same?
it is very intense. I don't think it ever becomes less strenuous for the number of questions that come your way on compliance, on governance. You will be surprised to the extent of questions you have to go through. So, of course, because the fund size we are looking to raise is larger.
Correct.
And now you have dynamics between multiple investors. So the conversation with one investor is very different. Now you have one investor as the lead investor, then you have couple of other, some are doing follow-on, some are new investors from external. So building the dynamics, again, the first person who put the trust in you, you want to ensure you are giving everyone an exit. They have their timelines. So the dynamics, managing those dynamics, ensuring everyone's interests are protected. I think that is the fundamental thing, right? So I think again, to Saurabh and me, fundamentally, we are not in this to, pull a fast one and get out.
Yeah.
We are in this for the long term and ensuring everyone gets their exits. Yeah.
So because you were talking about stress through funding, in general, entrepreneurs, stress levels are skyrocketing day in, day out. So how do you manage stress, and what are your tips for people who are going through it? Because it's not just entrepreneurs, actually, people with a corporate job also.
Yes.
Even with me, every night I go with such a stressful thing to think about that I have to wake up at 5 a.m. Can నిద్ర రాదు because I'm stressed that I have to wake up at 5 a.m. So this kind of stress, how do you manage stress?
You don't think about the stress, right? You can't think about 5 a.m., right? You just do it. So for me, I think, like I said, sports was a very important part in the initial years. Then I took a lot of sabbatical for 20 plus years. Had a lot of health issues. Both my knees have had surgeries, and I've had a back issue, 2 children, gained ridiculous amount of weight through pregnancy, and then there was a wake-up call. In 2015 is when I, exactly coinciding with my entrepreneurial journey. A year into business is when I said, done, right? This is done. And, psychologically back then, I think even now people hesitate to hire a trainer, but I somehow, again, thank Saurabh, because he said, just try my trainer who will help you strength train.
Yeah.
And he knew about my knee issues, right? And I kept thinking the other way around. I said, I have issue, how can I go lift weights?
Correct.
Which is what is everyone's journey. People keep thinking I have neck pain, I have back pain, oh, I have diabetes, I have cholesterol, or I have high BP, low BP, God knows what, right? These are all crutches, right? These are all reasons. So my philosophy in life again is, if you give reasons, you cannot get results. I work out for 40 to 50 minutes and I lift weights. I do one body part a day kind of a thing, or two body parts. And then I definitely do cardio. So people think walking is exercise. That is only for heart health. Like it's cardio, clearly talking
Correct.
about its cardiovascular health.
Correct.
So things like swimming, walking, cycling, elliptical, they are all cardio exercises. That is, heart is not your only
Must-
organ, no, ma. Right? People, when you get spondylitis, I have grade 3 arthritis in my right knee.
Oh, wow.
And my knees are not aligned. If you look at it, they're very different, right? But when the doctor saw my MRIs and X-ray, he was surprised. He said, "Are you driving? Are you walking? Are you okay?" And they suggested some 3 procedures of surgery. And I couldn't sit and get up. I couldn't do steps properly when after my daughter's delivery and weight gain.
Correct.
That was my wake up call. And I said, I have to take. So that is when I moved from 3 days to 6 days. And everything changed. I have no pain, touch wood. I think people take their health for granted, especially when you're younger, when you're in the age of 20, 25, 30.
Yeah.
Suddenly you realize that you have to work really, really hard to forget about gaining, not lose, just to maintain is very challenging.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, stress management is going to the gym, walking, and of course I take my daughter to the park and swim. So I feel that is good. And that time you be in the present, right? Don't try to mix. And for entrepreneur, again, one more thing I keep telling, right? The same day you have good news, you have bad news, you have excellent news, you have shitty news. Everything will happen parallelly, different department, different people. Continuous process. Somebody is joining, some great resource is resigning. It is like you have to compartmentalize each activity and event.
Correct.
And same thing at home. Like, how can somebody is not well, or I'm not well, or the child is not well. People say, how do you prioritize work? No, at different points, different things are priority, man.
Yeah.
Like today, you had to come for this shoot. So you can't say something else is a priority. You have to put everything else on back burner to show up here.
Yeah.
Similarly, this is important. So I put my swimming in the back burner. I'm here.
Yeah.
And every day it is about prioritizing for that moment. What is critical? Where should your time go? And you have to compartmentalize, because you have to celebrate the wins. You have to, wherever there is a fire, you have to put it off.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how do you compartmentalize. I think that has been a big learning.
I want to edit whatever you just said and listen to it every day.
Yeah.
This is very, very nicely put, actually, to keep, having multiple news, different good news, bad news, everything in a day, and you need to just step into whatever is the next priority.
Correct.
That's all.
Because we bungle it with 10 things and then start stressing, and then we open Instagram. And that only wastes time.
Yeah.
And I have friends who are deleting those completely because they have no control on it. They're deleting those apps.
I would love to talk about a lot of other things, but we'll close this with one more last question. Is that, what is your advice to somebody who wants to step into an entrepreneurial journey?
So it is going to be very difficult, obviously, but again, like I said, it's very rewarding. You have a lot of things in control. Solve a problem that is meaningful to you, because otherwise it becomes very hard to continue in that field. Be open to the fact that day one you come up with an idea, you realize that in a year, 6 months or 1 year, in the journey, the whole initial idea will be different from what you end up offering. Be open to it. Don't get stuck up on what you had decided to start on day one, because in the process you will learn about that sector, that customer mindset, and you realize there is a bigger opportunity there. Go ahead and try it. Other thing is, I really love the concept of design thinking. It's becoming very popular now. It is nothing but doing before you actually execute the whole thing, like you do it like a prototyping. So basically design thinking is nothing but, let's say you're trying to design an app, or you're designing anything. You just do it, use cardboard or use paper or use PowerPoint. You don't have to code it to create that.
Okay.
Right? So get feedback. make changes. The way you see things, maybe somebody else doesn't see the way you are seeing things. What is UI UX, right? User interface. Basically, when you're looking at one app versus another app, you can clearly tell this is much better, it's responding better, it is scrolling better. All these things eventually come, but the initial idea when you're putting together, it could be an app, it could be a service, it could be a product, anything. Do a prototype of it. Matlab, fail cheap, fail fast is the mantra. Don't waste too much money or time on things that may not work also, right?
Okay.
So fail cheap, fail fast if you have to. Then you will move on to the new idea, you will make changes, you will go on. So I think, again, entrepreneurs are typically very headstrong. They're very not too flexible in their mindset. Right? You have to build that flexibility. You have to be open. You have to look out for what other opportunities are there. If you are trying to get into, let's say, baking, which is a new thing, then, or let's say somebody's trying to get to healthcare, you have to look at your initial idea may be A, but you suddenly see potential for something else. Go ahead and pursue it. So many people start with one line of business and then add so many other lines, right? So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I think they have to not give up. I think it takes time, and you have to surround yourself with people who can add value and not drain you energy wise. So I keep telling people, you are who you are surrounded by. And there's a very famous line Michelle Obama always says, right? She tells her children that what your future is, what you practice every day, right? If you're going to wake up late every day, procrastinate things and keep doing it, that is what you will be. That there is no other thing that can come out of as a result if that is your behavior. But if you wake up early and if you're getting things done on time, you are systematic, you're organized, you're getting what are my to-do things, and you're responding to people in a certain way, you're looking at gratitude, you're looking at your attitude, that is what you will end up becoming, because you're practicing every day. You can't have a life for 20 years in one way and suddenly wake up and think I will change the world today or change myself today, right? So it is every day's practice that goes into becoming who you are. So
absolutely, taking that note, I missed my gym last 1 week. I'm going to show up tomorrow. Any parting thoughts?
Well, I think this is a wonderful thing that you're doing. I hope even if 2, 3 people, 5 people, whoever sees it, enjoys it, I think impact can start with one person also. I feel that that is why I like doing these conversations, honestly. So thanks. I think all the best to you.
Thank you so much again for your time. I'll see you soon.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.